My name is Elkan Mehdiyev, and I am, you know, from Karabakh, from Kubatlı region, and due to my personal and family tragedy that we faced when our land was occupied in 1993, I also, probably for that reason, but not totally, I was deeply involved in conflict resolution issues, and I went to United States for study, and then was invited to University of Maryland, and together with Armenian, Georgian, and Azerbaijani scholars under the sponsorship of U.S. government, we were working on the project to propose peace plan for Azerbaijan-Armenian conflict and Georgian, Abkhazian, and Ossetian at that time. So that project started in 95 and finished in 2000, late 2000. And we were traveling, working there, and then traveling across the globe and discussing this issue with conflict resolution specialists and politicians in, let's say, even visiting all on the islands to take their example and maybe apply to that option to our case. But at that time, there was a big, let's say, momentum for peace, and so many active, intensive negotiations were underway, especially on the Azerbaijan-Armenian track. But sure, we had some kind of proposals, but the official negotiations failed, and then the project was, let's say, not continued. So, but as a scholar, as a, let's say, as a conflict resolution expert, I myself organized dozens of seminars and meetings in Azerbaijan, and also participated dozens of international conferences on these issues in U.S. and Western Europe. And then going to U.S., to American University, and then to Johns Hopkins University, and then Duke University, and for years I worked there, and writing and speaking about this conflict, but and later on in Istanbul, always been in contact with my Armenian colleagues and Western specialists. But what we were offering at that time to Armenians in Karabakh, as now I compare with the current status quo, was a very wise and very acceptable, and international experts also were very supportive of that. But unfortunately, Armenian side's maximalist policy and uncompromised position led to the war in 2020, and then in 2023 to latest military operation for disarmament of Armenian local armed groups, led to exodus of Armenians from Karabakh, which was unfortunate, that no one desired in Azerbaijan of such result. So we have now this. I shortly try to describe the whole issue, but we are now in a situation that I am, as a refugee from in my own land, still not able to go to my land because of ruins, and 5 years have passed. People still are refugees in their, or IDPs in their own land, because of destruction and destruction and destruction of all our properties and infrastructure in the place. So, but the fortunate side is that Azerbaijan and Armenia directly are negotiating, and they have now agreed for a peace plan. There are some modalities in Armenian, let's say, law, in Armenian, let's say, military doctrine, national security concept, and indirectly in the constitution, that Azerbaijan requires them to be abolished. After that, I think there would be no argument not to sign the peace treaty, which can open a big window for both nations and for cooperation and peace and harmony in the world, in the region, sorry. And from other side, Turkish-Armenian negotiations are underway, and we do support these negotiations. And Turkey and Armenian people had great relations for centuries, and they have a common memory and common history. And I believe if any normalization between Turkey and Armenia, then Armenian people will gain much more than anyone. And Turkey is willing to invest and help Armenian economy. And I think if that happens, then we're gonna have very favorable environment for much cooperation and maybe integration of three Caucasian republics.
What is the main challenge of this?
Still, I don't see big challenges right now. As I mentioned, there are some elements in the constitution and national security concept and military doctrine of Armenia regarding Karabakh and so on. These obstacles could be removed. They are technical issues, but Azerbaijan just wants to Azerbaijan just waits from Armenian side to eliminate all of these obstacles so that not to leave any doubts for Azerbaijan, because Azerbaijan has had great catastrophe by Armenian occupation, and Azerbaijan has still no trust to Armenian side, and Azerbaijan experienced this big tragedy. That's why they just wanna, if they wish to sign a peace treaty, then they want to eliminate all the barriers to the peace treaty, not today, but in the future, because we believe that Pashinyan has sincere peace agenda, but tomorrow Pashinyan government could be replaced, and then another revanchist government could come, and they may use those elements in their constitutions and in their national security laws, the provisions again against Azerbaijan. For that reason, we just wanted to have no claims, no territorial claims against each other. So they are even fixed in the peace agreement. There are 5 principles that the sides are taking obligations that they will never, let's say, put any territorial claims against each other. But these provisions are in peace treaty, but from other side, in other Armenian documents and the constitution, there are some elements that still triggers a doubt for Azerbaijan. And Azerbaijanis say that if you are sincere, why not to eliminate those elements too? I think that it is also not a, let's say, the constitutional issues cannot be resolved within 1 month or days. It also takes time. But the main issue is that Armenian today's prime minister is willing to do that for the lasting peace. That's encouraging, but these are encouraging statements, but we just wanna those statements be implemented. So these are expectations of Azerbaijan, so that to sign a long-standing, long-awaited peace for lasting peace.